keep it rolling. Let's go Vincent and Daniel, and Jose's going to help out.
Which is the most effective way to prevent this outcome in future projects? At the end of an agile project, all stories are completed on schedule and are tested, and all tests pass. But the customer does not consider the product a success, which is the most effective way to prevent this outcome in future projects. A, ensure that the product vision is approved by the customer before developing the backlog. Yeah, I like this because when developing a product, you need to know basically the intent and what is that product about.
Understood.
Yeah, that the team understood what they are looking for and what the product owner is looking for.
Okay. So hang on to that one, I guess.
We'll hang on to that. Yes.
Okay.
B, agree with the customer on the success criteria to be integrated to the definition of done.
What's the success criteria? Like, if they say, hey, if we meet these, that's the success criteria is. If we meet these objective factors, then the project is complete. That's what success criteria means.
Yes, right. So you can develop a product and then you can pass the test, but it doesn't meet like success. Like the product owner say, okay, you must achieve this level of refinement, but although it passed, but it did not meet that level, it's still not a success.
Okay.
So let me go back to the question is, but the customer does not consider the product as success. So they have a product, but maybe it passed the test, but still does not meet expectations, I guess.
Okay.
I will hold on to B for
hold on to it. All right.
As well.
Cool.
C, collect customer feedback on incremental release, demos, and user tests. I would say in the agile project, as you do your daily stand up and then your regular review with the product owner, this should have been done and addressed.
Okay.
So I think, yeah, it should have been done and addressed as you go along the way and not wait till the end of the product completion when you do your final test. So I would strike this off.
So strike it out. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Ensure that the test plan includes non-functional requirements in the backlog.
That's just detail, like standards, and those kind of things.
Correct, but I mean, again,
what do you think?
I would say this would have been defined as you develop your product. Like it says, all stories are completed. So imagine in an agile project, if you use a Kanban board, you develop all the things that you need to do and how it's progressed, and it goes on to the next stage. So you would have addressed this, whether it's functional or non-functional. All the requirements would have been established and work through the stories as you complete the stories. So I would strike D off as well, because I think it's a given that it should have been done.
Okay.
So now if I go back to A again, ensure that the product vision is approved. So this is like at the start of the project, the product owner says, yeah, we develop a backlog and say, okay, we define the product. And the product owner will say how he wants the product to look like, he wants it to perform, but he may not set certain criteria at that point. What would be the acceptance criteria? He just say, okay, I want this to be able to, say, for example, a vacuum cleaner. He wants to be able to pick up dirt of a certain size, but it doesn't, he did not define, he say it must be able to run for 2 hours non-stop, for example.
Okay.
So if you go back to question, yeah, he may say, okay, the vacuum cleaner works, does suck up dirt, but it doesn't hold enough dirt. I have to change out the bag. So it's too frequent, right? And he doesn't consider that a success. So I think I will go with B as the final answer, because success criteria are important to be, you need to establish it up front.
Okay, yeah, so we say like it, you said the 2 levels of the dirt and the whatever, the capacity and all that stuff. Like if it meets this, then it's good. Okay, that seems reasonable. Thank you, sir. Daniel, what do you think which answer do you like, sir?
So I'm not particularly far in this whole thing.
It's okay, dude. Just make it up. You're gonna be all right.
I will say that I think that I think A makes the most sense, because you would want to have like the vision. You want the person to like know this is what we think the vision at the end is going to be.
Okay.
And they should be like, yeah, that makes sense. That's also what I want it to be. So if you both agree this is how it's going to end, then you can get there, and you can, say all the steps in between, because you're the one that's going to pick all the steps in between. The customer just knows what he wants, or the customer is going to know what he wants at the end. You know how to get there.
Right. And so like you're setting a vision, and then and like if you have a vision for what you want to do, and I'm like on the team or whatever, like you have a vision in your head. How clear is that vision in my head? Like, is it ideal, like the same as yours? Like vision wise, can we have the same vision? Like the picture looks perfectly.
I think because like I think you guys can have ideas of similar ideas, but might think something that they wanted that are slightly different, and those can add up and eventually make a product that's completely different than what they initially wanted. And if you guys don't communicate that early on, then it's just going to get worse.
What'd you eat for lunch?
What did I eat for lunch?
Correct. I'm going somewhere.
I had a chicken sandwich.
Good choice. All right. So you do it at home, or did you go somewhere?
I was at work, so I had it at the cafeteria.
Okay. So you and I were at work, at your work, and we were like, dude, lunch, it's coming up. It happens every day. Like, what are we doing? We get a vision. We go like, okay, I want a magical chicken sandwich. Like, I want a good chicken sandwich. It's wholesome. It's good. It tastes awesome. It makes me happy. Like eat. It's got good nutrition, all that junk. We agree vision-wise of what chicken sandwiches are like. We're like, dude, yeah, awesome chicken sandwich. Scott and Daniel, chicken sandwich party. And like, so our visions are aligned. So we're cool. Now, what happens with us is we go down there and we go order the chicken sandwich at like the commissary or whatever it is. And if we like look at the menu and like, hey, you guys have a chicken sandwich? Sweet. We look at the menu and we're like, okay, we look at the little thing and it's got like a little chicken sandwich, and it might have like some criteria here that might say like chicken sandwich, like lettuce, cheese, mayo, like whole wheat bread or whatever, and whatever. And you might look at that and I might look at that and go like, that's cool. Or we might scratch it out and like, screw whole wheat, let's go like white or whatever, or a bun or something like that and toast it. So when we go to the waitress or waiter or whatever, we say like, yo, man, like, hey, we'd like this chicken sandwich. Like we have established, we started with a vision, which is great. Then we went into like, hey, we're having an agreement with the service provider, the agile team in the back, the sandwich artists or whatever. And we say like chicken sandwich. And these, like, we are in agreement with them to say, if they bring us these things, like, obviously it doesn't have salmonella. That's like implicit in our conversation. It's got the bun, it's got the thing, it's got the this, it's got the that, it's got the this. Like that's what we're stating. Like that, like that's the success criteria. So we send our order off to the people in the back, and the little sandwich artists back here, the dev team. They go crank it away, bing bang boom, and then you eat lunch before you did it today. They bring it back to the table and they put it on there in the plate. Now, just imagine our chicken sandwich. We went through it. We were like, it's a chicken sandwich. Sweet. So there, it's got lettuce, it's got cheese, it's got whatever, it's got whatever, it's got whatever. Like, cool. So technically, the waiter comes and says, "Did everything for you, bro. Check, 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 check. And on time, on budget, only costs $4 or whatever. That's cool. It's a cheap chicken sandwich." And then you look at it and you're like, shit, man. Yeah, you're right. It's got lettuce, it's got bread, it's got whatever, it's got chicken, but it's just not inspiring. And when I bite it, it's like there. It's not cold, it's not frozen, it's not salmonella. I'm not going to die. It's not whatever. But next time I think I'm just going to go out to another place because it's not like I don't consider this lunch a success. Yes, you delivered me a successful chicken sandwich on schedule, on budget, whatever, but it's not like chicken cordon bleu or whatever you wanted. And so the thing we have to ask ourselves is like, how could we go through this chicken sandwich ordeal and next time not end up with like a lukewarm smile? How could we engineer this process differently to end up like super smiling?
Okay.
Any idea on how we could do it?
Yeah, because I feel like I initially, I feel like now I kind of want to change my A answer because I feel like just discussing the vision is not enough to determine what the final outcome is going to be, the way you said it. So I think I still don't I feel like C, sure, like collecting customer feedback on incremental release demos and user tests. Like I feel like that that could help prevent this outcome.
Have you ever been to Subway?
Yes.
What do they do? So in our example for sandwich, we sent the order back to the kitchen and they built us the final product. At Subway, what happens? Not to say Subway builds great chicken sandwiches. I don't even think they have chicken. They might. But what do they do at Subway for like how they build sandwiches? What happens?
You go in, then you start off with nothing and they ask you what you want, and then they ask you with the foundation, and then you build up.
Yeah. And so like as you go there, you're like, no, those peppers look terrible. I don't want those things. Or like, no. Like you're getting incremental like feedback as you move down the line. That's why they do it. To say, hey, does this look good? What do you want? Which one of these do you want? And like you're building it and you're getting like, you're seeing the sandwich. You're not like surprised, progressively what's happening. And then boom, at the end, it's just like, you want chips and a drink. That's how Subway works. And so that essentially is getting incremental release demos. What does a sandwich look like? What is a sandwich? What is a sandwich? What is a sandwich? What is a sandwich? To make sure that hopefully you're smiling at the end.
Yeah, I kind of I think I know some other people in the chat have been saying C as well, but I feel like C, I think that would be the best way to make the customer happy because they're seeing it as it builds. Yeah. And they're saying like they're looking at it and they keep looking at it and they're like, yep, that makes sense, that makes sense, that makes sense. Or they see one and they're like, wait, stop. That doesn't make sense, and you can stop before it gets too far.
Yes. And that's essentially, and like right now they're getting there and they're saying, yes, you got it on schedule. Yes, it passed all the tests, but it's just not like, I realize now it's not as awesome as it could be. Like you get to the end, but like we've spent all our money, all our time, all our effort to like get it done, and we're stuck with this thing that's like okie dokie, not fantastic. That's basically what's happening here.
Yeah.
Jarrett, what are you thinking, dude?
So Scott, isn't that the purpose and the benefit of agile versus waterfall, that you do get the customer or the client's input as you're going through with each iteration? then you're able
Absolutely.
to know exactly, and you can stay on point as to what it is that you're developing.
Yeah, and then you can look in the eye, exactly, Jared. You can look at the eyes of these demos and like the releases and be like, they might be like, okay. And you'd be like, no, like, am I reading something wrong? Like, I don't think you're liking, like, what's wrong, dude? Like, you don't like it as much? Like, you can't hurt my feelings. Like, my goal is to understand, like, why you're not digging this as much as you can. What do you realize now? What do you appreciate, whatever it is? You want to do that, like, at the big, here instead of here. Like the cake is already baked at this point. Like if we can get it early, then we can tweak and guide and be agile in how we deliver value. Because all we're trying to do is make smiles. We gotta so we don't get in there like, well, I did exactly what you told me to. It's like that ain't a way to get a repeat customer. So yeah, Brent, I think you put in a comment earlier, or you put in C, the last C. What are you thinking, dude?
Yeah, I was thinking, although it was at the end of that project, the question asked to prevent this occurrence in future projects. So kind of in lessons on space, what can you do differently? And, I felt like C was the best answer to address that as, the incremental release of demos and user tests.
Awesome. All right, let's check it out. Vincent, what do you want to stick with? Thank you, Brent. Vincent, what do you want to go? It's B, or what do you want to stick with, dude? Vincent.
Yeah, I'm certainly am tempted to switch my answer to C because I realize that this is an agile project that you do have regular meeting with product owner to get buy-in or to get affirmation that you're on the right path. So for future project, yeah, it's certainly C will be a good way to prevent a repeat of what happened in this project.
That's awesome. So, Darian, what was your question, sir?
I was
I'm
just
sorry?
curious because I'm listening to what's stated. If it's an agile product, then I would think if I was a customer, then I would expect to be built into the process of each iteration. So if it's a chicken sandwich, I would think, and I'm not that far in it. So
No, you're good. I love it. Keep it going.
I would think that it would be B, because if I wanted a chicken sandwich and we agreed on the criteria for success, I'm going to say, maybe I want it crunchy and spicy and hot on a ciabatta bun. And so if you make it crunchy, spicy, and hot with a ciabatta bun, we agree on that from the very beginning, then that our position of success is aligned. So that's why I'm thinking B.
Hey,
So,
Darren.
which one are you thinking? B?
Yes.
Yeah, can I want to go ahead and interject, can I?
Yes, please.
Darren, I'm thinking, on the crunchy part, what's crunchy?
Yeah.
So I just think we're better off if we, let the customer make those decisions, and that's why you have the release demos. So you won't keep moving forward without the customer's approval to move forward. I like B. I like it. I was there, but I wasn't sure about the incremental release demos. I think that's where it needs to be. I'm looking at C.
Okay, cool. And then Darian, like you said, crunchy. Like I didn't get overweight not eating fried chicken. So I live in Virginia, in the edge of the South, and so like I think the success criteria get us in the ballpark of having these conversations through the feedback, literally on the crunchy chicken. To be like, hey, if they fry the first piece of chicken, you're like, ooh, like there's different ways to fry chicken apparently. And like sometimes I go and I'm like, I don't like the way they fry chicken or whatever. Then you can like go back and say like, I was picturing something else. I was picturing like this type of batter or this type of whatever. And then you can have those conversations through there. So that's what this does. And so like with Agile, I think Vincent initially said like should have been done. Correct. And I think you're hitting on it. Like this should be baked into the process. But if the Agile team's just like not fully leveraging it, or the customer's not available, or they're not bringing them in or whatever, like you can screw Agile up in many different ways. So it's like we got to bring them in and have those tough conversations so that we don't end up with the thing at the end. So I think we're good. There's another thing like definition of done. Anybody know what that means? Was he just letting you go off mute? Go for it.
It means it has.
Built. Oh, sorry.
it meets the criteria of all the features that it needs to have within that user story.
Yeah, and then also, Jillian, how would you say it?
I was going to say it's something that's agreed upon within the team, what the definition of done is, like in the team charter, like what the definition of done is for each, I guess, each customer or each user story.
Right. And so if we think about like the work starting and like a user story coming in and a user story going out, and if you're the team, like you did great, Jillian, and pretty much Jose will get through. It's like, hey, for the team, we need the work that comes in to be defined at a certain level and documented at a certain level and understandable at a certain level so that it's not like a wild goose chase when they get the work where it's like, dude, now I got to figure out what the heck you mean. I got to break it down and you're creating all this extra work for me. Like, that's not good. So on the front end, it's called the definition of ready so that the work meets a certain standard of like preparedness to get in there to the team. Now on the back end, when the team hands work off, like it's done or it's handed to the next person down the line, like Jillian said, like it's the definition of done, meaning like when Jillian says done, like my work is done, and Scott says done, we are both in agreement with like what that level of quality is the same. The reason why is because if like Jillian operates with a higher standard of quality than Scott does, it's going to create like, first of all, technical issues between us. And it might cause resentment and rework and all that stuff, and that's not good. So if we have an agreement with Jillian, we're living off the Jillian level of quality standards, we can all agree on and we can work that. So definition ready is getting into the pie so that they're good. Definition of done so we don't have like inaccuracies as we get going. And a lot of times if we don't do this definition of done to a certain level, what we're essentially doing is creating technical debt, they call it, that will later have to be cleaned up. It's like if you go through work and you just kind of like don't cross all your T's and I's and you don't finish everything out, you might be moving work through and getting it done, but you know that later you're going to have to go clean up the like little bits that you didn't do. So they call that technical debt, meaning like occasionally you have to go through and just, okay, clean things up a little bit. So we're trying to reduce that as we move through. That's what it is. Let's keep it rolling.